Captain Jin sat in the small ship as it moved toward the huge space station. He looked at the round window and saw stars all around. This was a big day for Earth. After many years of watching humans from far away, the Galactic Council had finally invited them to a meeting. Jin turned to look at his 3 crew members. They all wore the blue and silver uniforms of Earth's diplomatic corps. "Are you all ready?" Jin asked. His voice was calm, but inside he felt nervous. The fate of Earth might depend on this meeting. "Communication systems checked and ready," said Officer Yoon. She was the youngest on the team but the best at learning new languages. "All science equipment working," added Officer Day. He had studied alien life forms for 20 years. Officer Gyo Hyun just nodded. As head of security, she didn't talk much, but Jin knew she was ready for anything. 3 small weapons were hidden under her uniform. Their ship docked with a soft bump. The door opened with a hiss of air. "Remember," Jin said, "we represent all 8 billion humans. Let's make a good first impression." They stepped through the door and into the Galactic Council space station. Jin had seen pictures of aliens before, but nothing prepared him for what he saw now. The room was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some had wings, others had scales. A few glowed with soft light. A tall bird-like creature walked toward them. It had bright blue and green feathers and a sharp beak. Its eyes were large and yellow. "Welcome, humans," it said. Its voice sounded like singing. "I am Counselor Tavik. I will show you around our station." Jin bowed slightly. "Thank you for inviting us. I am Captain Jin. These are Officers Yoon, D, and Hyun." Tavik looked at them with his head tilted to one side. "Your species is quite simple in appearance. No wings, no claws, not even colorful skin. How interesting." Jin kept his face calm, even though he felt insulted. "We find other species interesting too." Tavik turned and began walking. "Follow me. The council is waiting." They walked through long hallways made of a smooth white material. The ceiling was so high that Jin had to look up to see it. Through big windows, they could see the blackness of space and many stars. "The Galactic Council has 53 different species from 17 star systems," Tavik explained as they walked. "Each species brings something special to our group. Though I must say we are not sure what humans will bring. Your technology is cute." Yoon whispered to Jin, "I think we're being looked down on." Jin nodded slightly but kept walking. Earth might be new to space travel, but humans were not weak. They just needed to prove themselves. They entered a massive round room. Hundreds of alien beings sat in rows that went up like stairs. In the middle was an empty space with bright lights shining down on it. "This is the Great Chamber," Tavik said. "All important decisions about the galaxy are made here." Jin looked around with wonder. Some aliens looked almost like Earth animals, insects, reptiles, or mammals. Others were so strange that Jin couldn't even guess what kind of world they came from. Suddenly, a loud voice boomed through the room. "Clear the central hall. The Kreshar handlers approach." Jin watched in surprise as every alien in the room moved quickly to the sides. Some even pushed to get away from the middle. Fear showed on all their faces. "What's happening?" Jin asked Tavik. Tavik grabbed Jin's arm and pulled him and his team to the wall. "The Kreshar are coming," he whispered. His feathers were flat against his body now. "Even tamed ones are dangerous. Move back." 6 huge doors opened around the room. From each door came a monster that made Jin's heart beat faster. Each beast was as big as a car. They looked like a mix between a wolf and a lizard. Their skin had scales that changed colors as they moved. When one opened its mouth, Jin saw 2 rows of teeth as sharp as knives. Beside each monster walked a tall alien. Each held a strange device that made a quiet humming sound. The aliens looked nervous even though they controlled the beasts. "Those are the Kreshar," Tavik said in a hushed voice. "They come from the Vandar system. They are the most feared hunters in the known galaxy. Even small ones can kill most species in seconds." Jin watched as the 6 Kreshar and their handlers walked to the middle of the room. Every alien in the chamber was quiet and still. Even the most important-looking council members seemed scared. The handlers have great power in the council, Tavik continued. No one wants to make them angry. The sonic devices they hold are the only things that keep the Kreshar from attacking. Day was taking notes on his small computer. Fascinating. The entire council seems to be built on fear. Jin nodded slowly. He noticed how the Kreshar moved, powerful but graceful. Their eyes were smart and watchful. One Kreshar, with deep blue scales that sometimes flashed green, looked directly at Jin. It sniffed the air as if trying to catch his scent. "That one is looking at us," Hyun said quietly, her hand moving closer to her hidden weapon. "Stay calm," Jin told her. "Don't show fear." The blue Kreshar kept staring at Jin. Then it made a small sound, almost like a question. Its handler pulled on the control device, and the beast turned away. The handlers and their Kreshar moved to a special area, at the side of the room. The council members relaxed a little but still kept their distance. "Now," Tavik said, his voice returning to normal, "we will show you to your rooms. Tomorrow, you will meet with the High Council." As they left the great chamber, Jin looked back at the blue Kreshar. It was still watching him. "What do you think?" Yoon asked as they walked to their rooms. "I think," Jin said slowly, "that we have a lot to learn about how things work here. The council runs on fear, not friendship. And those Kreshar creatures, there's something about them. Something more than just scary monsters." Day nodded. "Did you notice how they looked at us? Not like prey, but with curiosity. Tomorrow will be interesting," Jin said as they reached their rooms, which were small and located far from the main areas. Another sign that humans weren't highly valued yet. That night, Jin couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the blue Kreshar and its intelligent eyes. Humans were new here, but they would show the council what Earth people were made of. And maybe, just maybe, they would show them a different way to look at predators too. Jin smiled in the darkness. Tomorrow would indeed be very interesting. 3 days had passed since Captain Jin and his team arrived at the Galactic Council station. Those days had not been easy. The council members tested the humans in many ways, and most tests seemed made to show how weak humans were. Jin sat with his team in their small room. The space was cold and far from the main areas of the station. This was one more way the council showed they did not think much of humans. "Report," Jin said to his team. Despite everything, he kept his voice calm. Hyun stood up straight. As security officer, she always watched for danger. "The council runs on fear," she said. "Everyone is afraid of someone else, and everyone is most afraid of the Kreshar and their handlers." Day nodded. He had been studying the aliens since they arrived. "I looked at the history of many council species. Most of them were prey animals on their homeworlds. They became smart to escape predators, not to hunt. That explains a lot," Yoon said. "They don't understand Earth. On our planet, we learned to live with predators, not just run from them." Jin thought about this. It was true. Humans had feared wolves and big cats long ago. But over time, they had learned to understand these animals. Some even became pets, like dogs and cats. "The council has invited us to a cultural demonstration today," Jin said. "I think they want to show us something." "Probably another way to make us look bad," Hyun said with a frown. "Maybe," Jin agreed, "but we will go and show them that humans are not easily scared." 2 hours later, Jin and his team entered a large room. It looked like a round sports field with high walls. The council members sat behind clear barriers high above the floor. Jin and his team were given seats close to the action, with only a thin barrier for protection. Counselor Tavik walked to a special spot where everyone could hear him. His feathers were bright and puffy, showing he felt important. "Today," Tavik said in a loud voice, "we will show our human guests the power of the Kreshar. This will help them understand their place in the galactic order." Jin felt his face get warm. The insult was clear. The council wanted to scare the humans by showing them the galaxy's most dangerous animal. A door opened on the far side of the room. A handler walked in, leading a very large Kreshar. Jin recognized it right away. It was the blue one that had looked at him on their first day. Today, its scales shimmered with teal patterns as it moved. "This is one of our largest Kreshar," Tavik explained. "It has killed over 50 dangerous beasts in training exercises." The handler used his sonic device to make the Kreshar perform. The huge creature jumped onto platforms. It ran fast around the room. When the handler pressed a button, the Kreshar roared so loudly that Jin felt it in his chest. Many council members moved back in their seats even though they were safe behind barriers. "Now," Tavik said, "we will demonstrate how the Kreshar hunts." A small robot that looked like an animal rolled onto the floor. The handler pointed at it, and the Kreshar chased it. In seconds, the powerful jaws crushed the robot. Jin watched carefully. He noticed that the Kreshar did not seem happy. Its eyes looked dull and its movements, while fast, lacked joy. This was not a creature doing what it loved. This was a prisoner performing tricks. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered. The handler looked worried. His sonic device made a strange noise and then went quiet. The Kreshar stopped moving. It turned its head slowly, looking around as if seeing the room for the first time. Its scales changed from blue to a deep red color. "The control device is malfunctioning." The handler shouted. "Everyone stay back!" The Kreshar looked at the handler. Then it looked at the barrier near Jin and his team. Something was wrong with that barrier, too. It was flickering on and off. With a powerful jump, the Kreshar leaped toward the weak barrier. It crashed through just as the barrier failed completely. The room erupted in panic. Council members screamed and pushed to get to the exits. The handler tried to fix his device, but it was not working. Jin and his team were now face to face with the galaxy's most feared predator. No barrier separated them. "Weapons ready," Yun said, pulling out her gun. "Wait," Jin said, raising his hand. "Don't shoot." The Kreshar stalked toward them slowly. Its red scales pulsed with angry light. Its mouth opened slightly, showing those terrible teeth. "Captain," Hyun warned, her gun still pointed at the beast. "Trust me," Jin said quietly. "Lower your weapon." Hyun didn't look happy, but she lowered her gun. The room was silent now. Every council member watched in horror. They were sure they were about to see the humans get eaten. Jin took a step forward. The Kreshar growled, a deep sound that made the floor vibrate. "It's okay," Jin said softly to the creature. "I won't hurt you." The Kreshar stopped. It seemed confused by Jin's actions. No prey had ever walked toward it before. Jin slowly raised his hand, palm out. He didn't make any sudden moves. He remembered how to approach nervous dogs back on Earth. The key was to be calm and show no fear. The Kreshar sniffed the air. Its scales flickered, changing from red to a mix of red and blue. "That's right," Jin said gently. "I'm not your enemy." The huge beast took another step forward. Now it was close enough that Jin could feel its warm breath. One bite could take off his arm or his head. Every person in the room held their breath. Jin very slowly moved his hand to the side of the Kreshar's head. There was a spot behind what looked like an ear, a place where many earth animals like to be touched. His fingers made contact with the scales. They felt warm and smooth. The Kreshar froze. For one long moment, no one moved. Then something amazing happened. The creature leaned into Jin's hand. Its eyes half closed, and its scales changed to a peaceful blue-green color. A sound came from the Kreshar's throat, not a growl but a rumbling noise that sounded almost like a cat's purr. Jin smiled and began to gently scratch that spot behind the ear. The Kreshar's purr grew louder. "Good boy," Jin said softly. "Or girl. Whatever you are." The silence in the room was total. Hundreds of alien eyes stared in disbelief. A human was petting the most dangerous predator in the galaxy, and the predator was enjoying it. In that moment, everything the council thought they knew about humans changed forever. The handler stood with his mouth open. The council members couldn't speak. Tavik's feathers were flat against his body in shock. Jin just kept petting the Kreshar, which had now closed its eyes in what looked like happiness. Jin glanced at his team. Hoon was smiling. Day was taking notes faster than ever. Even Hyun looked impressed. I think, Jin said loudly enough for everyone to hear, that sometimes understanding is better than fear. The Crusher, now completely calm, sat down next to Jin, like a giant scaly dog. No one in the room could believe what they were seeing, and this was just the beginning. No one moved in the large room. The Crusher, the deadly beast that made the whole Galactic Council tremble with fear, sat calmly next to Captain Jin. Its scales had changed from angry red to a peaceful blue-green. The creature leaned against Jin's leg like a pet dog might do on Earth. Slowly, the handler of the Crusher stepped forward. He held his broken control device. His hands shook. "Please step away from the Crusher," the handler said. His voice was low and careful. "It is very dangerous." Jin kept his hand on the creature's head. "It doesn't seem dangerous to me right now," he said. "What is your name?" The handler seemed surprised by the question. "I am Voss," he said. "Nice to meet you, Voss," Jin said. "I think your friend here just wants some kindness." Voss shook his head. "The Crusher are not friends. They are weapons, tools. They cannot be trusted." The Crusher made a soft sound, almost like it understood the words. Jin scratched behind its ear again, and the sound turned into the purr-like noise from before. By now, some of the council members had returned to their seats. They watched with wide eyes and open mouths. No one had ever seen a Crusher act this way. Councillor Tavik pushed through the crowd, his feathers still flat against his body. "This is impossible," he said. "No one touches a Crusher without protection." Officer Yoon stepped forward. "On Earth, we have a saying. Understand the predator, and you need not fear it." Officer Day nodded. "Humans evolved alongside predators on our planet. We learned to watch them, understand their needs, and eventually make friends with many of them." "Make friends?" Voss asked. He looked confused. "With predators?" "Yes," Jin said. "Some of Earth's most dangerous animals became our closest companions. Wolves, for example, were once feared. Now their descendants, dogs, live in our homes and love us." The Crusher stood up and stretched. Several council members gasped and moved back, but the creature just walked in a circle around Jin and his team, then lay down again at Jin's feet. "How did you know to touch that spot?" Voss asked, pointing to where Jin had petted the Crusher. "It takes our handlers years to learn the sensitive areas of a Crusher." Jin shrugged. "Earth has thousands of animal species. Many like to be touched, in similar places. I noticed how it was holding its head, the tension in its neck. It wanted relief, not a fight." Tavik stepped closer, though still keeping a safe distance. "This changes things," he said. His voice was different now, less proud, more thoughtful. "May I?" Jin asked Voss, pointing to the control device. Voss hesitated, then handed it to Jin. The device was round with many buttons and dials. Jin looked at it, then tossed it aside. The sound of it hitting the floor made everyone jump except the Crusher. "Don't need that," Jin said. "Not if you treat them with respect." "You don't understand," Voss said. "The Crusher were never fully tamed. Our ancestors captured them centuries ago. Even now we keep our distance." Jin nodded. "On Earth, we domesticated wolves over thousands of years. They became dogs, our friends. The relationship helped both humans and dogs." "That's not possible," another council member said. "Predators cannot be trusted." "Yet you trust their handlers," Jin pointed out. "You've built your whole political system around fear of animals. You don't really understand." The Crusher, still relaxed, had its massive head resting against Jin's leg. Several brave council members moved closer, curious despite their fear. "Your species," Voss said slowly. "You are predators yourselves, aren't you?" Jin smiled. "We're omnivores who started as prey. But we learned to hunt, to think like predators. That's how we survived. By understanding, not just fearing." Officer Hyun spoke up. "Humans adapt. We study what scares us until we understand it. Then it no longer controls us." Day had been taking notes on his small computer. Now he showed it. To Jin. Captain, I've been scanning the Crusher. Its brain patterns are complex. More complex than a simple animal. Jin looked down at the creature, meeting its intelligent eyes. I thought so, he said. There's something more here. Voss moved closer, now standing just a few steps from Jin and the Crusher. What do you mean? I think, Jin said slowly, that the Crusher might be smarter than you realize. Not just clever animals, but something approaching intelligence. The Crusher looked up at Jin. Its eyes blinked slowly. Can I try something? Jin asked Voss. Voss nodded, curious now instead of scared. Jin knelt beside the Crusher. He held out his hand, palm up. Can you put your paw here? He asked the creature clearly. The room went silent again. Everyone watched. Slowly, the Crusher lifted its front leg, a paw with sharp claws that could tear through metal, and placed it gently on Jin's open hand. Gasps filled the room. This was not random. This was understanding. Now, 2 taps if you can understand what I'm saying, Jin said. The Crusher's paw lifted and tapped Jin's hand twice. Voss fell to his knees. All this time, he whispered. All this time they understood us? Jin stood up. I think they understand more than anyone realized. But when you treat something only with fear and control, it has no reason to show you its true self. Tavik stepped forward, his feathers now beginning to fluff up again. Captain Jin, it seems we have much to learn from humans after all. And we have much to learn from you, Jin said. But perhaps we can start by learning together about the Crusher. Voss looked at the other handlers who had gathered nearby. Our ancestors' records speak of a time when Crusher and our people worked together as partners, not master and slave. But over time, fear took over, and we began using the control devices. The blue Crusher stood and walked to Voss. The handler froze, in place, clearly fighting the urge to run. The creature sniffed him, then nudged his hand with its head. Very slowly, Voss reached out and touched the Crusher's head. His hand shook, but when the Crusher leaned into his touch, tears filled Voss's eyes. All my life, he said, I was taught to control them through fear, never to touch them directly. Jin smiled. Fear is a powerful tool, but a poor foundation. Understanding builds something much stronger. Officer Yoon stepped forward. On Earth, we learned that most creatures respond to kindness better than fear. Even predators? Asked a small alien from the crowd. Especially predators, Jin said. They're not evil. They just have needs and instincts. Understand those, show respect, and many predators can become allies. The Crusher, now enjoying attention from both Jin and Voss, made a happy rumbling sound. I think, Tavik said, looking around at the council members, that we need to reconsider humanity's place in our council. Jin nodded. And perhaps reconsider the Crusher's place too. For the first time since humans arrived at the station, the council members looked at them with respect instead of pity. And the Crusher, the galaxy's most feared predator, had never seemed more at peace. Everything was about to change. 1 week after the event with the Crusher, everything had changed. Captain Jin and his team now had rooms in the upper level of the station, close to the council chambers. The small, cold rooms in the lower levels were just a memory. Today, Jin stood in the great chamber of the Galactic Council. Beside him was Voss, the Crusher handler. At their feet sat the blue Crusher, which Jin had named Moon, because its scales sometimes looked like Earth's night sky. The chamber was full. Every council member wanted to see the human who had changed their understanding of the galaxy's most feared predator. High Counselor Tavik walked to the center of the room. His feathers were bright and full, but his voice had lost its proud tone. We have gathered today, Tavik announced, to talk about humanity's place in our galactic community. Jin looked at his team. Officer Yoon smiled at him. Officer Day had his computer ready to take notes. Even Officer Hyun looked pleased. When humans first arrived, Tavik continued, we thought they were simple beings with little to offer. We were wrong. A murmur ran through the crowd. It was rare for a High Counselor to admit a mistake. "Captain Jin," Tavik said, turning to face him. "Please tell the council what you have discovered this past week." Jin stepped forward. Moon stayed by his side, calm and alert. "Thank you, High Counselor," Jin said. "This past week, I have worked with Voss and other handlers to learn about the Crusher. At the same time, I have taught them Earth's ways of animal communication and care." Voss stepped forward. "For many generations, my people controlled the Crusher through fear and force. We thought this was the only way." He gestured to Moon. "Captain Jin has shown us another path, one of trust and understanding." During the week, Jin had taught Voss how to touch the Crusher without fear. He showed him spots where the creatures like to be petted. He taught him to speak in calm, clear tones instead of sharp commands. Most importantly, Jin had proven that the Crusher were far more intelligent than anyone had thought. "Watch this," Jin said to the council. He turned to Moon. "Moon, can you show everyone how many fingers I'm holding up?" Jin held up 3 fingers. Moon tapped his foot on the floor 3 times. Jin held up 4 fingers. Moon tapped 4 times. The council members leaned forward in their seats, amazed. "Now," Jin said, "can you find Officer Day and bring him his computer case?" Moon stood and walked to where Day had set down his computer case. The Crusher picked it up carefully in its mouth and carried it to Day. "Thank you," Day said, taking the case. Moon made a happy rumbling sound. "The Crusher aren't just animals," Jin explained. "They understand language, they can solve problems, they have feelings." Officer Day had discovered something even more amazing. He had found old records that showed the Crusher had once communicated with their handlers. But generations of fear and control had made them stop trying. "Officer Yoon," Jin said, "can you tell the council what you learned about Crusher history?" Yoon stepped forward. "I studied the oldest records of Voss's people. Long ago, the Crusher and their handlers were partners. They worked together. But over time, as the council grew more powerful, the Crusher became symbols of fear and control." Voss nodded sadly. "We forgot the old ways. We became what the council wanted, scary handlers of scary beasts." One council member stood up. "But if the Crusher are so smart, why didn't they fight back? Why did they obey the control devices?" "The devices cause pain," Jin explained. "No creature wants pain, so they obeyed. But they were never happy. They were never trusted. They never had a chance to show who they really were." Moon made a soft sound, almost like a sigh. "High Counselor Tavik," Jin said, "I have a proposal for the council." Tavik nodded. "Speak, Captain." "Earth would like to offer a new kind of partnership with the Galactic Council. We can teach you about living with predators, not just controlling them. We can help the handlers learn new ways to work with the Crusher." Voss smiled. Already, 3 other Crusher have responded to the new approach. They are calmer. They make the happy sounds. They listen better than before. Tavik looked around at the council members. "I propose," he said in a loud voice, "that humanity be given not just associate status, but full council membership." The vote was quick and clear. Every member agreed. Humanity was now part of the Galactic Council. "This is a great honor," Jin said, "but I have one more request." "What is it?" Tavik asked. "I want the Crusher to be recognized not as tools or weapons, but as intelligent beings with rights." The room got very quiet. This was a big change. For centuries, the Crusher had been seen as nothing more than dangerous animals. "Let us test this," Tavik said after a long pause. "Moon, do you understand what we are talking about?" Moon looked up at the High Counselor. Then very clearly he nodded his head. "Do you wish to be treated as a thinking being with rights?" Tavik asked. Again, Moon nodded. Then he made a series of sounds, growls and clicks that seemed to have meaning. "He's trying to talk," Voss said, amazed. "The old records mentioned this. They had a language." "With time and work," Jin said, "we might learn to understand them better, but for now we know they understand us. And that's enough to start treating them with respect." Tavik spread his wings wide, a sign of respect in his culture. The Council will consider this proposal. For now, we welcome humanity to full Council status, and we thank you for showing us a new way to see creatures we once only feared. After the meeting, Jin and his team returned to their new rooms. Moon came with them, now officially recognized as Jin's companion rather than a controlled beast. "You've changed history, Captain," Yoon said. "Humans are now respected by the Council, and the Kresher have a chance for a better life." Jin smiled as he petted Moon's head. "All because we weren't afraid to reach out with kindness instead of fear." Moon made a happy purring sound and leaned against Jin's leg. "You know," Jin said to Moon, "on Earth you would probably have your own fans online. People would love pictures of you." Moon tilted his head, not understanding the words but feeling the friendly tone. "I think," Day said, "that this is just the beginning. Humans and Kresher working together. The galaxy isn't ready for what comes next." Jin nodded. "The galaxy has much to learn about humans," he said. "And we have much to learn about the galaxy. But understanding will help us find our way, one step at a time." Moon rumbled his agreement. The most feared predator in the galaxy had become a friend, and that was just the first of many wonders to come.